Hello, Marion Duncan here for this week's reflection on Wednesday, the 22nd of October. Hasn't it been a lovely start to autumn, and the trees are starting to change colours, and I hope that the farmers have all managed to bring in the harvest. I know our churches that we've had our Harvest Thanksgiving and a Harvest Hoolie that was held in Inverarity. But I would like to remind you that this Sunday the clocks go back. We will go back to Greenwich Mean Time. Now, changing clocks. It was first muted in this country by a campaigner called William Willett back at the start of 1900s. His original proposal was to move the clocks forward by 80 minutes in 20-minute weekly steps on Sundays in April and by the reverse procedure in September. Now that seemed a wee bit complicated to me, but it was refined and brought into power in 1916. Unfortunately, William passed away in 1915 and never lived to see his idea come to fruition. Since then, in the summer of 41 to 45, during the Second World War, Britain was 2 hours ahead of GMT and operated on British double summer time. We then went back to the ordinary one that we know just now, but it's been challenged several times. And under the Prime Minister Harold Wilson, we had British Standard Time Experiment, where we would remain on GMT plus 1 hour between October 1968 to October 1971. They analysed the data of accidents for the first 2 years of the experiment, and this indicated that while there had been an increase in casualties in the morning, there had been a substantial greater decrease in casualties in the evening. With around 2,700 fewer people killed or seriously injured on the roads during the first 2 winters of the experiment. This was great until they realised the period coincided with the introduction of the drink drive legislation, so they had to modify the estimates downwards. The trial was subsequently debated in the House of Commons, and they voted to end the experiment. There have been campaigns to bring us into line with most of Europe, but these suggestions came with their own problems, with people in Scotland and Northern Ireland feeling that some areas would not see daylight in winter until about 10 a.m. Some countries throughout the world do observe daylight saving time. Most of Europe, Canada, Australia, USA, with each of their states able to choose what would suit them best. In fact, in Arizona, where the Navajo Nation have their territory, right in the middle, Arizona itself doesn't practice daylight saving time, but the Navajo Nation does. So I'm just not sure how that works. So to conclude, we all rely on time and its changes in some form throughout the world. And I have picked out a couple of verses from the Bible because God doesn't use clocks as we do, as the Lord has a different pace, and the verses are Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." And this verse emphasises the idea that each season has a purpose and that life is a series of cycles. And the next verse is Isaiah 40 verse 8. "The grass withers, the flowers fade, but the word of our God will stand forever." This verse illustrates the enduring nature of God's word, which remains constant even through the passage of time and clocks, and God doesn't change. Thank you for being with me today, and may I remind you again that the clocks go back on Sunday, and that's going to give you an hour longer in bed. Goodbye.